I'm 43 and my husband is 47. We have our 401ks and IRAs 100% in stocks. I plan on leaving them that way, but would love to hear your thoughts. And so would I.
Sure. Okay. 100% stock portfolio. What that means is that you are at the whim of what the markets are doing. Now, when you say 100% in stocks, this is where I got to get a little nuanced. Do you actually mean that you have 100% of all those assets in stocks? Meaning I went and bought NVIDIA, and I bought Tesla, and I bought Apple, and I bought Home Depot, and I bought fill in the blank, fill in the blank, fill in the blank, fill in the blank. Or is what you're saying, hey, I've just got it all in equities, meaning I've got all S&P 500, and I've got all, whatever. I don't know the answer to that question. I would tell you, here's what we believe in here, and this is what we think makes sense when it comes to prudent investment management. We think that diversification makes a lot of sense. Even if you're going to invest in quote unquote all stocks on the equity side, we like diversifying our equity exposure, meaning S&P 500 is wonderful, but we also like small cap stocks, and we like domestic equities, but we also like international equities. We also like things like real estate. Maybe you're investing like real estate investment trusts or that sort of thing, like publicly traded real estate indices. So there are ways you can be all stocks and still be diversified. Now, you said you're 43 and 47. You are not old, but you are not in your 30s either. And so one of the questions I would begin to ask you, like if you were coming to me as a client saying, hey, here's my portfolio, what should I do? I'd say, okay, first of all, let's talk about your risk tolerance, risk capacity. How do you guys view risk? What's your personality? Are you guys aligned? Is one of you a cowboy and one of you grandma, or vice versa? How do you guys individually look at risk? And does this portfolio make sense for both of you? So does it match your risk personality? And then I would ask, does it also match your risk capacity? When do you think you're going to need this money? Are you planning on retiring at 55, at 59 and a half, at 60? Is this something that inside the near future you may need these dollars? If so, I would argue that you should potentially be on some type of glide path where, yeah, maybe I should got an aggressive portfolio because I'm going to live well into my 90s. So some portion of these dollars has to pay for me for the next 50 years. But some portion might be needed in 10 years or 15 years. And as such, I should have a mix inside my portfolio of risk on assets, that's the equity stock piece, and then risk off or risk reduced assets. And if I put a solid mix together, then what I begin to focus on as an investor at this stage of life is not just how much money I make. So often people are like, return, 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 return. How much can I make? How much can I make? How much can I make? Our opinion is that's the wrong question to be the wrong question to be asking. The question that you should be asking is, how much money do I get to keep over the long term? Meaning that when the markets are up, if I have an aggressive allocation but well diversified with risk on, risk off assets, then I should be able to grab a big chunk of that upside. But in times like right now, when the market is volatile, when I see down volatility, I'm not out there flocking with the market. I only have a fraction of that downside. Well, if I can get a majority of the upside and a fraction of the downside, and I can do that consistently through time, then I'm going to likely be able to build towards my ultimate financial goal. So is an all stock portfolio right for you? I don't know. I don't know you, Sarah. My bent, my bias would be we like well-diversified portfolios, and we like to think about return on a risk-adjusted basis. So if I don't have to be out there taking all of the risk, I take some of that risk off the table and still have a similar long-term trajectory, long-term rate of return based on the way that I've constructed and allocated my portfolio. A lot of people find themselves in a similar situation to you, Sarah. This is one of those areas where if you're like, I don't know. I've always been aggressive. I've always invested in stocks. I've always been equity heavy. I don't know how to adjust or how much to adjust or where to adjust. This is a great time where it might make sense to take the relationship to the next level. To think about, man, I've only ever managed one portfolio. How wonderful it'd be if I had a team or an individual I could work with who's managed hundreds of portfolios, who've seen people that weren't just 43 and 47, but they were people that were 33 and 37 all the way until they were 53 and 57. And how did that look, and how did they adjust, and how they navigate? So perhaps you're in that situation where it might be time for spot check, someone to give you a second set of eyes. We call that here the abundance cycle. You've grown to the place where, man, I just wish I had a co-pilot, someone to help me steer this ship well we'd encourage you to consider giving us that shot. You can go to moneyguy.com, work with us, aboundwealth.com, work with us, and one of our advisors will be happy to chat with you.
Absolutely. No, that was a great question, Sarah. Thanks for sharing, and thanks for being here during the live stream today. We do have some of the results of that poll, Bo. You said, are you sweating the dip? That's how we said it. Like, are you feeling nervous right now? 57% said, no, I am so excited.
Awesome.
So those are some financial mutants right there, right? 30% were very honest and said, I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Fair enough.
All right.
And then only 12% said yes.
Okay.
And if that's the case, I'm glad that you were here today. I'm glad that we're talking about this for everybody's benefit, but a good chunk of people, I think, are with us and needed that conversation.
For the 42% of folks that were not the I'm so excited, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
We want to be, look, man, I don't know if you do this, but you go, I'm talking way more than I normally do because I'm on the soapbox. I don't, when you're scrolling, right? When you're scrolling through your socials, when you're checking your news, when you're looking at all this stuff, and it's just like bad, negative, unrest. I hope that we get to be that beacon that's like, hey, this is just part of the process. It's going to be okay. That's what we do. This is how we build wealth. We look different than the world around us when it comes to how we make financial decisions. And that's why, I make this weightlifting joke all the time. People say, okay, in the beginning, people always ask you why. Oh, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? But in the end, people always ask you how. How'd you do that? How'd you do that? How'd you do that? Being a financial mutant is no different. So you're going to make decisions today different than your peers make. And in the future, people are going to look at you and be like, man, how did you retire early? How are you not freaking out when the world around you is falling? You're like, well, because I understand it. I'm a financial mutant. They say, what's that? You say, well, let me tell you. Go to moneyguy.com and check it out.